In the last 10 years, I bought over 650 rental properties, including some apartment buildings. And one of the craziest tenant stories ever is in one of these apartment buildings, one of the tenants got cancer a couple months after we bought the property. And this is the crazy story about what happened over those couple of months of dealing with that tenant who has cancer. And maybe you as a real estate investor are gonna run into this situation, so I wanted to share my story with you. All right, so this story begins in Memphis, Tennessee, beautiful Memphis, Tennessee. We bought a 19-unit apartment building, the first apartment building that I ever bought. And then I made a killing with that building. I mean, I increased the rents from $450 to $900. I was just making so much money. And then I started cold calling the apartment buildings around that building. And I kind of got a little bit of a reputation because of how well I turned around that apartment building. So it was pretty crazy. I think I was written up in like the Memphis local news or something like that. And I started cold calling the apartment buildings around my apartment building saying, hey, you know, remember me from the news? Just kidding. I started calling these apartment buildings around where my building was, and I started saying, hey, I just bought this, I'm the guy that bought this property, turned it around, increased the rents. I want to do the same with your property. You're looking to sell. A lot of these apartment building owners, what I've noticed is that they want to sell to somebody who's actually going to take care of the property and renovate the property, increase the value of the property, change their neighborhood, change their city. A lot of people that own these buildings in these smaller cities in the Midwest want somebody to come in who's going to take care of shit and invest money into their city. Because a lot of them have businesses, local businesses, they have other development projects, and a lot of them are just tapped on time. They're like, damn, this guy's going to come in, renovate this property, increase the rents. That's going to help my local business. That's going to help my, you know, my family, my home value, all this kind of stuff, right? So that's kind of what they think about and what they like to think about when selling to somebody. So bought this 24-unit apartment building right next door to my 19-unit apartment building. And one of the first things that you do when you buy an apartment building is you do due diligence. So you fly out to Memphis, you have an inspector there, the property manager there, the contractor there, and we're all walking every single unit. So I want to see every single unit, all 24 units in the property. I even did this when I bought when I was looking at buying a 100-unit apartment building, I walked like 80 units. I'm like, I want to see every fucking unit because you guys are not going to show me everything. So we go through every single unit and we walk into one unit, which is probably the most disgusting unit that I've ever seen. I wish I had photos of it, but the top 2 feet of the unit was cobwebs. And it looks like black smoke. It looked like somebody was had a chimney in there, right? With no exhaust. So it looks like he had been smoking there for 49 years. And turns out he had been. He had been living in this unit since 1985. His rent was $300 per month. The market rent in the area was $900 per month. So he was paying a third of the market rent. If you went into his bathroom, the bathroom was completely black. The toilet, behind the toilet, you can actually see the foundation of the property, so you can see right into the dirt. There was cobwebs just everywhere, just literally the top 2 feet. Again, it's not a tall ceiling. I'm in like a tall ceiling right now, like 13 feet. He was in a 9 foot, and the top 2 floors, 2 feet was pure cobwebs, which means like if you were 6 foot tall, you had like a foot, and then your head was hitting cobwebs. Think about that. Okay, his living room had nothing, no TV. He just had like a single person sofa, or I guess just a chair. And he was sitting there, living there since 1985. I mean, insane, absolutely insane. Probably one of the most disgusting units I've ever been into. I don't know how the guy was living in. And we ended up buying the property. We loved it, we loved everything. And then for this unit, the kind of plan was to, first of all, get him out of there because he needed to be in like a home. The guy was probably like 90 years old. And we were like, all right, this is not like a healthy living situation. We're not gonna increase the rent on this guy. Like we need to get the guy out of there. Like he needs to go live somewhere else. He cannot be living in this kind of property, in this kind of mess. Like he needs help pretty much. Is what our consensus was. So when we bought the property, we didn't really do much with him. We were like, all right, just leave him there. We'll fucking do that later because that's gonna be like a $30,000 job just for one unit. And most units cost us 10 grand to renovate. So we were like, oh, just leave him in there. We'll figure it out later. So we start doing exterior work, start renovating some of the other vacant units. Oh, that's it. We were just focusing on the vacant units first. There was like 1 or 2 units vacant. So we go start renovating the vacant units, start doing the exterior repairs. We're seeing the monthly rent come in. A couple months in, we noticed that his rent was not coming in. We're like, okay. We reach out to him via email. We have property manager go knock on his door. No, nothing, no response. Okay, but I was like, what's going on? You know, it's he's supposed to pay the 1st of the month or the 5th of the month. Cool, it's like the 15th of the month. And we're talking to property management. Like, yeah, we've been out there 2 or 3 times. The guy's not responding. We have no communication with him, nothing. He doesn't have a phone, etc. And so we're like, all right, what the hell do we do? They're like, well, we can file an eviction. And I'm like, okay, like, I guess just file an eviction. I'm like, do you guys think that he might be dead? Like, do you think he died? The guy's really old. Do you think he died in the unit? And they're like, well, we don't really smell anything. And I'm like, okay, I guess we can file the eviction, and then maybe that'll be like using the court system to get a hold of him, you know? Because there's not much else that we can do. I mean, the tenant is not there, not paying rent. We try to communicate. Maybe he left, like maybe went to an old age home, didn't tell us because he doesn't know how, like, so the legal way is for us to begin the eviction process. So we begin the eviction process. And of course, if he came back to me saying, hey, sorry, I was on vacation, or I don't know, whatever, I missed my rent, it doesn't cost him anything. He just pays the rent and he's all good. FYI. So that's kind of what happens. We go and we start the eviction process to figure out where the hell this guy is. And the eviction process goes. The eviction gets to his lawyer. His lawyer emails us and says, hey guys, I saw the eviction for this tenant. The tenant actually just got cancer and he's living in a hospital right now. He has cancer. We don't know what's gonna happen to him. Like if he's gonna make it, again, 90 years old. Just got cancer. He's like, I don't know if he's gonna make it out of this kind of thing, if he's actually gonna like survive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're like, okay, what should we do? Like, what do you want us to do? And kind of the lawyer was just like, yeah, let's just wait a couple weeks and see what happens. We're like, okay, fine. So we wait a couple of weeks, and the guy comes back. He actually gets out of the hospital, comes back, starts paying rent again. And then we reach back out to his lawyer and we're like, hey, all right, your tenant's all good. He continued to pay rent, but like, have you been to his house? Like, do you know the kind of living situation this guy is in? Like, this is not fucking healthy for anybody, for him and then for all their surrounding units. We're like, this is not healthy for this guy to be living in this kind of property. Do you know his living situation, et cetera? Does he have anybody that can help him out? And we told the lawyer. I think the lawyer like went out and actually saw the unit, because a couple months later, this tenant actually left. Thank God. He needed to be in a home and somewhere that he would be kind of taken care of. And so he eventually left the property. We were able to go in, spend the money to renovate the unit, make it nice and shiny and livable again. But absolutely insane story absolutely insane. But thankfully the guy is hopefully in a better situation now, hopefully living at an old age home or something like that, or someone can take care of him as well. Because I think the guy did have money, like he came from money, but he just didn't want to spend it and stuff like that. So I don't know the exact situation, but for somebody like that to have a lawyer on retainer ready to respond, like, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, insane story about a tenant. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from this whole crazy tenant situation is that as a real estate investor, you are going to be tested. Like, your morals, your ethics are always going to be tested. Again, this is like a very rare situation. I bought over 650 rentals. This is one of the few like offshoot cases. This is an outlier, right? Of like a situation where a tenant gets cancer, or a tenant is immobile, can't walk, they have a wheelchair situation. Again, we've had all these situations, but we're talking about 5 stories out of 650 tenants, right? But I think it's interesting. As a real estate investor, you are gonna be tested. Like, when you are in control of someone's housing, someone's living situation, someone's home, it really brings up a very interesting situation for you, and you know, your ethics and morals are gonna be tested. And I think it really shows who is, you know, in those situations, it's kind of like ethics and morals over profit. And you really have a decision to make with, I mean, obviously in this situation, I didn't really have one to make, because there's not much that I had to decide. Like, the guy came back and paid his rent and stuff, like, all was good. But it's just very interesting. If you are a real estate investor, like, this is some of the stuff that is gonna happen to you, and you're gonna be like, damn, yeah, well, I thought I was a big moral and ethics person, but hey, rent is rent and I need to make money too, right? So yeah. If you enjoyed this video and want more videos like this, please make sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.